ready?
Yeah. All right, guys, welcome back to the Saucy Sibz podcast. I'm your host, Francesca.
And I'm Nicodemus.
And today in the closet, we got Juan Padró. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time out of, I'm sure, your insane day. We thought today would go one of two ways because we were like, oh, I wonder what he has after. I was like, we're either going to like go out with him after, or I was like, he's like booked up. And you were like, I got shit to do. So
talk about a saucy guest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We always say like saucy in every single way, which is like food, being funny, also whatever. And I feel like you definitely cover all three bases of saucy. Right. Yeah.
So Juan, you are the founder and CEO of Culinary Creative Group.
Yes.
And you guys, I mean, I feel like you do so many other things. I was like looking to like do a bio intro for you. Can you give us your intro? Because I was like, there's too many things. I'm going to miss something.
Yeah.
Are you talking about just from a business perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, CEO of the Culinary Creative Group. We've got about 21 stores and 14 concepts, 18 in Denver and 3 in New Orleans. And I think there's about 12 under construction.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, including four at the airport, 2 in Boulder, 2 in Rhino, and how many is that? Oh yeah, two in Cherry Creek, which aren't really under construction. We're kind of taking them over, which nobody knows about, but they do now. I was going
to say, can you? This won't come out for like a month or two. Can you say?
Yeah, we bought Cretans and Shea Rock.
Oh,
okay. Shea Rock.
We love Shea Rock.
Yeah.
So. Like we had just popped in there. Just a friend started bartending there. And we were like, wait, this space
Said
is
friend
nuts.
Definitely does not know we own Shea Rock yet. So.
Okay.
Inside information.
Yes, insider info. It'll be public in a couple of weeks. And we're going to partner with Sterling from Aspen. So that we're going to do a Sterling there. Yeah. So. And then in the front, we're going to reconcept that. And we have 2 concepts we're trying to figure out. There's no like kitchen, there's no hood system or anything in the Cretan space. And they were, typically, using Keeney's kitchen. It was the same owner. And so we don't have that option. So we have to get creative about what we're going to do for food. But it's really going to be more cocktail and wine driven up front. And we'll plug in, like when we bring the bigger DJs in, the Ruckuses or, Peter Paul or people like that, we'll plug it in, to the Cretan space and create a vibe there. But otherwise, we'll just bring separate DJs in there, and it's going to be like a bottle service, anywhere from $12 to $2,000+ a table, and set go.
Cherry Creek needs that.
Yeah, Denver. I think Denver needs a high end lounge, and it'll be fun where you can just let it rip.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, because we already hang out like. Sometimes we hang out at Forget Me Not a lot, and sometimes like
I've never seen either of you at Forget Me Not.
I know.
How is that possible? Yeah,
I know because I've heard that you're there a lot, and then I met.
I live 4 blocks away, so I just I'm always walk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I walk.
We met is Jamie the GM?
The bartender Jamie.
Yeah.
No, but she's been with me for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. Formerly Jamie Irwin. So Jamie Curtis. Now it's Jamie Irwin. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I met her at like an event. Like a crypto event that Invisible City was doing.
That sounds right.
And we became friends. And I was actually like, it was one day we had like a networking thing and I was like trying not to drink. And then we went there and she like bought us a drink. And I was like, I mean, when the bartender buys you a drink, you're drinking it.
Right.
You were debating whether or not to get a drink.
Yeah, turn the faucet on for you. Yeah. Yeah. She's an awesome person, man. She's one of the coolest people I know. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. I feel like to like manage and own so many restaurants, you obviously have to be such a good judge of character and like just know people really well. But every single restaurant you own, like, well, I think our main thing we were going to say is like anyone who's in town, we'll just send them. We're like, just send them to one of Juan's restaurants. We know it's always good service. We know the food is insane. We know the vibes there. So it's like, that's like
safe spot for you.
Yeah,
safe spot. We
truly.
actually kind of became a fan of your restaurants before we knew that there was like this umbrella company with it. And we were like, wait, Juan owns this one too? Okay, shit.
Yeah. I own different pieces of each one. It's not really a priority for me to like, own the majority of these things,
Yeah.
But we've got a pretty interesting model, sort of an incubator of artists, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, talk on that more because I remember. So shout out to Mario. We originally met Juan through Mario's podcast, Heroic Hospitality, that we produce. And then since we've just become friends around town, because we happen to have like all overlapping friends. And but I remember on his podcast, you were talking about how like you have such a like model where there's really like upward mobility for people like in the service industry.
Yeah, I mean, the service industry, I would say, is generally a broken model, and for various reasons. And it's been in Denver in particular. It's been the problems have been compounded by poor decision making at the city level, and I think they're trying to unwind some of that stuff if possible right now. But it's in a pretty precarious position. But the way we modeled our company was really with the idea that we were going to think about hospitality as a legitimate career, because we had had the opportunity to speak with so many people in the industry, and I'm not a hospitality person by trade, and Katie, my partner, isn't either. She had never even worked in a restaurant before we opened Highland Top, and it was one of those things where we just were drawn to the passion for people, for community, for wine and food, and as you really start to think about that and think about the importance of the kitchen table or the dinner table or whatever, you realize that you can have tremendous impact on your community, and it's a great platform, and so we got really excited about kind of turning it upside down and creating an equitable business model. And my parents were political activists, and so that activism is in my blood for sure. Setting out to prove that you can make money and do good by your community and your people, I think is super important. So we've been able to do that over the years, and like I said, we employ a disproportionate amount of people from disadvantaged communities, single moms, really people we need to be focusing on breaking the economic cycles that they get caught up in. And so many people work in hospitality. I think it's like 1 in 5 Americans. And I think like 1 in 10 works in restaurants. It's like an astonishing number. And, the government and your parents and your uncles and everybody kind of looks at it as a stepping stone job. 100%. And if we took it, and you're never going to solve anything if you don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And so if we take it seriously, and we, look out at what the issues of the day are, and we see how hospitality influences those issues, affordable housing, immigration, environmental and sustainability issues. I think the governor's, one of his top priorities is rural workforce development. Who buys from the rural workforce? Restaurants do, because that's where ranchers are, and farmers and dairy producers and bread makers and brewers and distillers. And we disproportionately support those communities.
Yeah.
And it's like, and what about wellness? You said you were in health and wellness before, right? I mean, we live in a society where we have sick care, not health care, and it's like, what we put in our body matters. It's preventative. And, over 60% of Americans eat out every day. It's a crazy number.
Yeah.
So paying attention to what we're putting in our bodies and how we're sourcing and all of that stuff's important. So,
I have so much to say on that. My biggest thing is, I love that you're saying like taking it seriously, because I've worked in service like on and off, like since I was in college, and it was always like, okay, when are you going to get a real job?
That's right.
Yeah. And I'd be like, dude, like this is a real job.
Yeah.
And like, I like have always enjoyed it. So like cause I got out of college and I went straight to New York in corporate, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do. And honestly, like bars and restaurants were there for me, because I'm so ADHD. Sitting in front of a computer all day, it just does not work for me. Like,
same.
I can't do it, but I could go work a bartending shift and do it extremely well.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm like walking around, I get to talk to people, and like, I just like excelled at that.
Yeah.
But I always like, I felt bad with like my corporate friends, like sitting at a table and be like, oh, like I'm just a bartender right now.
Right.
And I've always hated that, because like,
yeah, but they want your job.
Yeah.
Because it is miserable. sitting behind a desk.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're ADD or not. And it is miserable. Like, have you ever met a happy lawyer? I mean, they're miserable.
Yeah.
You know, accountants miserable. Being a doctor right now, you get sued. Like, I mean, it's like unbelievable.
No, that's so
right?
true.
And it's
That's
like
so
nobody
true.
wants to do that stuff.
Yeah.
So my little cousin was out from Massachusetts at a neurology conference here. It was probably about a month ago. And she, you know, wanted to go out to eat every night and was excited, you know, to get to the restaurants. And so we went out together the first night. And then the second night, she says, hey, can I bring my 5th-year resident? And I was like, of course. And we went to Ashkara. And we're having all this like really cool conversation. And this woman's husband was working towards becoming an orthopedics specialist, and I think you make pretty decent money in orthopedics, but
You started like 250.
yeah. So, but she was a 5th-year resident, and you know, Children's Hospital in Boston. It's like Harvard, right?
Yeah.
And you know, she's $350,000 in debt, and guess what she makes a year after undergrad, grad, and 5 years of residency in Boston, Massachusetts? 80 grand.
80 grand.
And I was thinking,
which is, it's like almost impossible to live there on like 8, like,
yeah. And I was thinking to myself, server at Ashkara makes more money than you.
yeah.
And we're criticizing hospitality because we don't pay our people the fuck out of here.
Well, also I had always wanted to go into the medical industry, and then I switched to business, but our brother is a doctor.
Okay.
And to be honest, when we saw him go through med school and residency, I would never wish it on anyone.
God. No.
And it's like abusive. Like I mean, the amount of like 24 hour and 48 hour shifts, like the man was a shell of a human. Like, but like he was
busy.
awful.
Like,
well, no, but he was busy. But when we were around him, he
miserable.
was so tired and miserable.
Yeah, cranky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, with him though, I think that it's interesting because he didn't do it for the money. He just always like, he wanted to be like a doctor, and like now he's in the Air Force as a flight surgeon. But I remember we were in Nepal, and he had just met these people that had just graduated med school, and they're talking about like being a doctor and for the money. And, you know, he had been in it for a bit, and he was just like, guys, if you want to make money, like probably don't be a physician because there's a lot to it.
There's a ton to it. The amount of debt you go into, and generally, by the way, it's not just that. I mean, not everybody should be going to college. It's ridiculous. We're putting our people, our young people, in $250,000 in debt when they don't even know what they want to do with their lives.
Totally.
I mean, that is a crazy model. Like, that is not a good business model.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and like, you know, vocational education I think is really important, but services and hospitality happens to be one of those. And you can make really good money in hospitality, and if you're incentivizing, as the state and the city should be doing, they should be incentivizing businesses to be equitable. And, you know, and to give profit sharing, and, you know, and we already give benefits, and we already give PTO, and we already have 401ks, and we already have mental health. We have all of that stuff in our company, right? We have unlimited PTO in our company.
Oh, really?
And
That's insane.
yeah.
That's unheard of.
And we have tuition reimbursement. If you want to go to be a SOM or a Cicerone, like we'll pay for that shit.
Yeah.
And so these are really good jobs.
Yeah.
And by the way, you could do what you love. You get to go to all the cool events. You get to drink all the best wine. I mean, people, I think about it because people are like, don't you ever take time for yourself? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, my life and my work are the exact same thing. I mean, I live for me, it's the perfect life, because if I was a doctor or if I was an accountant, I'd be making money to go to the best restaurants, to go to the best wineries, to go to the coolest events, to do that stuff, right? That's what I would be doing.
Truly.
Now I do that and make money doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and have a career doing it, and can impact, you know, people, and I can, you know, grow a company, and I can do all these, you know, things. And it's just a real blessing for sure.
I love that. Absolutely.
Okay, wait. The other day when we hung out, it was so funny because you had said something in Aspen. You were like, oh, a club, like I had started there. I had no idea that you were involved in 7908.
Yeah.
Which when we lived in Aspen, it was one of our faves. But now, like, Sterling. So wait, you said you were going to redo the front of that, or were you talking about Cretans?
Cretans, we take Cretans.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at Sterling, you guys are just going to kind of come in and...
We're going to reskin Shea Rock, and there'll probably be some adjustments to sound and seating and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful space, and it's aesthetically pleasing the way it's designed, just not functional, which, you know, sort of is Cherry Creek in a nutshell. You know, pretty on the outside, not so pretty on the inside. So
that's funny. But no, so we actually, we saw you we ended up at Kumoya. That's your newest sushi spot.
Yep.
Because our friends at Zodiac House are doing the music there. So like on a Saturday night, was it Saturday? Yeah, it was a full club vibes.
Yep.
You were telling us just all about how you're like the fish seasons and then how it used to be a deadhead bar. Do you want to talk about Kumoya?
So it was several businesses. It was Tony P's Pizza in the front, and then in the back was Zio Romolo's Alley Bar, which was a Grateful Dead bar and an industry bar where people would go and drink. And you never really saw a lot of cash go over the bar or credit cards or anything like that. It was just, you know, one of those places where the kids all kind of gathered and got drunk after work. But and then they, you know, anytime there was like a fish show or a panic show or string cheese or anything, they would have buses leaving from there. And, you know, it was good, you know. And back when in North Denver, where you could afford to live there, it was, you know, I mean, it was just busy, right? But it's tiny. But I loved it, you know. And when I first moved to Denver to open up Highland Tap and Burger, I lived on Clay Street. So I would walk by it every single night, and I would go dink, have a couple, you know, like you, have one that turned into 7.
Of course.
And then walk home. And so, you know, the opportunity to take it over, you know, it's kind of an iconic space. It's on 32nd and Zunai, which is a really great corner. Obviously, we know how incredible that neighborhood is for food and beverage. And then there's Corey Baker, who is just a different dude. And you don't find people like him, and he's an expert in sourcing and, you know, the quality of the fish there. It was really funny. I was with Andrew Sandler, who owns Sterling, last night, and he said, you know, I hadn't been here, and I was just in Cabo with my buddy who works at Matsu in Aspen, and he said, have you been to Juan Padró's sushi spot in Loai? And I said, no, I think I'm going to go when I go back. And he said, yeah. He goes, it's way better than ours. And I was like, that's a matter of taste, but I was like, that's a compliment to Corey.
Yeah.
And Corey's pretty incredible. It just got, I don't know if you guys read that Cherry Creek magazine review on it. Yeah, it was wild. The guy, I think his name was Kevin Marr, and he said that, you know, they had a meal there, and he said to the public, you take the field. And when I say the field, I mean Denver, Colorado, the region, the country. I will take Kumoya. Let's see who comes out on top. That was wild. Could you imagine?
I know. That's
imagine somebody
crazy.
saying that. Yeah. So Corey's super talented, and then there's like a Japanese kitchen that has a bunch of cool stuff in there. But the fish program, you know, the sourcing. This is a guy that like works 7 days a week and then goes home, I think, and just sources fish. He follows them seasonally. Like our salmon is off the coast of New Zealand now, and our otoro's in Croatia right now, and everybody's like, oh, I just want Japanese fish, and it's not always the best. And, you know, the whole misnomer of fresh fish, like, okay, go eat a fresh piece of bluefin tuna and tell me what you like better, that or drinking a bottle of vinegar. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's just crazy. And we get incredible fish, as good as anywhere in the country. And we're just psyched to share that with Denver.
That's so exciting. I think this goes right into... do you want to talk about like how everyone talks about this in Denver?
Okay, so Francesca and I are just like big eaters and drinkers. We love to go out and eat and drink. And before we moved to Denver, everyone was just like, oh, the food sucks in Denver. And we hear it every day, all day. And I hear it from people too that I like really don't care about their opinion.
Yeah.
But for you, I care about yours.
Yeah, sure.
When people tell you that the food in Denver sucks, what do you say to that?
I mean, I don't say anything to it. That's food's very personal. You know, I eat all over the world. I probably do 30 to 40 stars a year. I love street food. You know, I've eaten in 38 countries now. You know, I've eaten at over half of the top 50. You know, I've done events with the best chefs in the world. And some of those guys live in Denver, in my opinion. And so I think that they just choose a different lifestyle. And I think we have different abundance, you know? Yeah. So one of the things you hear when you know somebody really doesn't know shit about food is that like, that's not an authentic Tuscan restaurant. Well, no fucking shit. We're not in Tuscany.
Yeah.
We don't have the same growing seasons. We don't have the same abundance. Right. But what we can do is we can be inspired by Tuscany, and we can use local ingredients, because what's authentic really in food is your thought process, is like where you get your food, who you support. Yeah. And then your hospitality, how you treat your guests. Like that's where authenticity lives, not in having the exact same dish that you had in Tuscany in Denver, Colorado. That is crazy. Yeah. And so think about it. You guys are Italian, right? You probably grew up on Italian American food. Totally. Right? Yeah. Italian American food and Italian food are two fucking different things.
100% different.
Very different.
Okay.
We have to tell people we're not.
Right. And it's
American.
it's crazy. And it's like, I remember when we opened Senor Bear, people were like, this is not Mexican food. Yeah, no shit. It's Latin. Yeah. From all over Latin America, heavily influenced by Peru. And they just didn't get it at first. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, this is really good. And like, but we've got guys that have, worked at Meadowwood, which is a 3 Michelin star, Linea. we've 11 Madison Park. All the best restaurants in the world. And they work for my group in Denver. So don't tell me that. That's bullshit. Yeah. So I know I said I didn't care. Maybe I care a little bit. But
like you have to hear it all the time, just like in passing.
I do. You know what I hear equally as much? What? When my friends from Manhattan come out in Chicago, my friends from Mexico City, my friends from Peru, my friends from fucking Puerto Rico, my friends from Asia, wherever, Europe, come over and be like, it's the best fucking meal I've had in a long time in Denver, Colorado.
Hell yeah.
And it happens all the time. That's the time.
Cool. See, I used to live in New York City, and I loved the food. It's still my favorite city in the world. I was worried when I moved here that because we lived in the mountains, and then I was like, okay, Denver's close. It's easier to move to, but I thought I'd be here for a couple months and be like, I got to fucking get back to New York. I never thought that about the food. I've had amazing meals here. I haven't been like, oh, I got to get back to New York. And when people tell me that, I'm like, dude, I've eaten at all the best restaurants in New York for years. And I didn't move here and think that at all. So I'm like, I just don't, I think it's also a priority and choosing where to go. I pride myself on if my friends want to go out to eat, I will do a full deep dive. That is what I'm doing for 2 hours. I'm figuring out the perfect place where I'll do research. And I think it's people that they're not really a foodie. They're not going to do research.
I think one thing, that is true is, we don't have great diversity in the city. And I think that oftentimes can get confused with not having great food. And I think if you want to go get pho, you go to Federal, South Federal, or if you want to go get, West African, you got to go out to Lakewood African Grill, or you got to go somewhere in Aurora or whatever. And I think Denver could do a lot better by incentivizing, putting some tax incentives together and giving some access to capital to some of these groups that we're taking in as refugees and immigrants and putting them downtown. I think that would be the answer to the 16th Street Mall for me. Incubate using take my company's business model and incubating these people, right? And creating a much more diverse food scene. And I think perception would change a lot if you did that, because I think a lot of people are they go out and they spend $100 or $250 a head at Matsuhisa, and it was good, but it was worth $250. And I think a lot of people feel burned by that. And I think that there's not a lot of options, in between in Denver. Where do you go get? There's hardly any place to go get a fucking sandwich. There's hardly anywhere to get a slice of pizza. So those types of things are missing, I think in Denver for sure, but it doesn't mean that doesn't mean there's no good food here. That's the most ridiculous thing of all time. There's fucking great food here. Yeah. I think the pho in Denver is better than any city in America.
Really?
Number one.
Ooh.
We'll have to go check this out. I don't often eat
only
pho.
because I'm celiac. Isn't it hard to get gluten-free, or is pho
no,
rice
I think
noodles?
Pho's gluten-free.
What? Pho's gluten-free.
Rice noodle.
You're going to have to tell us where to go.
Fadui, Fun 95. Those are the
Fun 95.
Okay.
Yeah, they're amazing. I like Fadui, slight edge for me. A little richer broth.
I'm a vegetarian. I eat fish, but I only do beef broth when I need to. So, and that's pho or I really like French onion soup. I make,
I love French onion soup.
I fucking love French onion soup. Where's the best French onion soup in Denver?
You don't see a lot of French onion soup in Denver.
Occidental has a pretty good one. They do.
I don't think I've ever eaten at Occidental.
Oh, really?
I've definitely had a lot of PBRs there. Yeah. And I love Sean Kenyon, but I have 7 restaurants right there.
Literally right there.
So,
We've had Sean on before.
Yeah, he's a
Did you
great
know?
guy, man. I've known him, right? So he's been by my side since the beginning. You know, it's probably, I think, you know, one of the main influences for the bar scene in Denver, which I would tell you, Denver's cocktail bars are as good as New York's for sure.
100%. Yeah.
And that's because of him.
Yeah.
So we bring up Tales like every episode somehow, but you said you're going to be at Tales of the Cocktail.
Yeah,
this year.
I'll be down there.
Okay, hell yeah. We'll be there for the whole week, so will our parents.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Parents. All right. Let's go.
No, we like tout it to everyone because we get media passes.
Okay.
And then our parents own a Jell-O shot maker. And so, yeah, they invented a Jell-O shot maker. That's like our family thing. And so
It's my family thing too. I have to talk about that.
Wait, really?
Wait, what?
Not a Jell-O shot maker, but my family has the oldest successive liquor license in the state of Massachusetts.
No way.
Moyni's Tavern in Worcester, Massachusetts, and it's just a tough Irish bar. And
Hell yeah.
they have their two biggest parties, obviously, are St. Patrick's Day and halfway to St. Patrick's Day.
No way.
And yes, and so they do Jell-O shots. That's their thing. They
Yeah.
just,
Cool.
yeah, blast them out there.
We'll
so.
send you some shot callers.
I want it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
buy them, and they'll send them out. They'll love it.
It's
Yeah.
just a way to make Jell-O shots faster.
I love
so
it.
it's like a kitchen tool,
It's
but
amazing.
it's like genius.
It's like a shot dispenser to get the hot sticky liquid in the cups. Wait, what bar is it? You
It's called Moyni's Tavern.
Moyni's
Moyni's
Tavern. You
Tavern.
said
Yeah.
the longest running.
Successively held the liquor license. Yeah,
Gotcha.
they change hands. But it's 100 years or so. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Boston has like crazy things like that.
Yeah.
Just like they'll say like the first sports bar in a place. Like, is that true? Maybe not, but like
probably.
yeah,
In Boston.
but probably it's Boston. It's like the first
It's an
city in
old
America.
Yeah, it's old
Yeah.
in mainland America at least. Yeah, yeah. San Juan's the oldest city in America.
San Juanas.
San Juan, Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
know
don't
that.
think I knew that.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I thought then there's like Santa Fe, which is super old.
The oldest mainland city is in Florida. I can't remember
Oh, really?
the name of it. Yeah.
Okay. With you traveling so much, or I guess like, I feel like obviously a lot of like your taste in restaurants food has to like be heavily influenced from your traveling.
Sure.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
obvious. But where's your favorite city to travel to?
Currently today, Mexico City.
Okay. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're there like a bunch, I feel.
I love it. And I think it's flown past New York City in terms of quality of food. And although Michelin just went to Mexico and there was 97 restaurants in all of Mexico I thought there'd be 200 in Mexico City.
Yeah.
I was shocked at some of the restaurants I was just there 2 weeks ago and I ate at 3 of the restaurants that got Michelin. And one of them I was like, this is not a very good restaurant. This is maybe the worst restaurant I've eaten at in Mexico City. I couldn't believe
damn.
it. Yeah. So you go back to the subjective piece, So,
Maybe the cartel got involved.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, they do a good job of hiding. They don't tell you. You don't know. I mean, somebody sent me I don't really get on Reddit, but somebody sent me a Reddit string that said we bought our bib gourmands. I'm like, how the fuck? I don't even know how I would do that.
Yeah.
I don't even like.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Rumors that we're working at another restaurant that happens, but yeah, I mean, Colorado got 44, and the entire country of Mexico got 97. That seems odd to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to tell you, Mexico City's food is bananas good. Like, it's unbelievable. Top 3 in the world. Yeah.
I went to Mexico City for a week and I had the best time. And I was like eating a lot of chilaquiles because that's kind of like one of my favorite dishes ever.
Same.
And I got it and it was different every place I went, almost like a completely different meal. And I was like, this is so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's how I felt about the Eggs Benedict in New Zealand. I got it every single day for breakfast.
They're big on breakfast over
Like
there, right?
cafe culture
Yeah,
is
cafe
huge
culture.
there.
Yeah.
So
It's so weird.
literally, I was there
Over.
for 6 weeks, and I got a different Eggs Benedict every morning, and
Yeah.
literally every single time it was a full different meal.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, what are we doing over here?
I'm allergic to eggs.
You're allergic to eggs. It's my main food group. Our main food group, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Can you
God.
eat them cooked? Like
I
baked?
can't listen.
He's like, I've had
It
it,
is.
tried every way possible.
So bad. And I went to A5 the other night, and I started seeing this gal and a little bit ago, and so I met her family at.
I was going to ask you how that went off the podcast because we're obsessed with her.
Yeah, she's. I can understand that. Me too. And they got Caesar salads, and of course we have the poached egg on the Caesar salad. And
There's egg yolk and dressing too.
yeah, and so I got a wedge because we had blue cheese crumbles, and somewhere along the line, I guess I didn't realize we changed to like a blue cheese dressing, which has mayo in it, and I ate the whole thing by myself, and I had to cancel every meeting I had the next day. I couldn't be like 10 feet from the bathroom. It was so bad.
No.
It was like brutal.
Damn.
Yeah. And so it's not anaphylactic or anything like that, but it's pretty brutal for sure.
I mean, I'm celiac, so it's like the same thing.
Yeah. Just
Literally same thing.
Incapacitates you.
You know, when I travel, like pretty much one of my favorite things about it is the food. Like, you know, let's just be honest. And when I went to India, I thought I was just going to be, because I love Indian food. I thought
my favorite food in the world.
It's your favorite food in the world. Okay. Have you been to India?
I have not, but I go to London almost every year to eat Indian food.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Do you know what the secret to the best Indian food is?
What?
A Pakistani chef.
A Pakistani chef.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because Indians are largely vegetarians.
Yeah.
They don't cook beef.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? But Pakistanis eat meat.
Yeah.
And so the best Indian restaurants have Pakistani chefs because they know how to treat the meat.
Wait, that's actually really interesting because my favorite food in India was in Amritsar, which is the capital of Punjab. But Punjab was split in between Pakistan and India. Yeah. So I bet, but it's like still the same like area.
Yeah.
I bet the Pakistani side of it, like Lahore, is probably like really good food then. Yeah. But why I brought that up is I got really, really sick a lot in India. So I didn't really feel like I could eat as much as I wanted to all the time because I thought I was just going to like eat my way through India, but it just didn't really happen.
What's your favorite Indian restaurant in Denver?
Spice Room?
100%.
Yeah, good.
Wait,
good.
I love that you agree with us there.
100%. I don't even think it's close.
Okay, cool. And the price is so good.
Dude, the price is great.
Yeah.
And like the chais.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll put it over here.
Oh, so you like chai?
Love chai.
Obsessed. It's probably
You have to meet this young woman who's super, super, super impressive. Her company is called Chai 5.
Okay.
And I just learned a lot about chai. I'm not a huge chai drinker, but she came in and educated me on it. And I guess there's like most of the chai in America is what's called street chai. Okay. But every family, I guess, has its own blend. So there's family chai. Okay. And she's like doing her family recipe, and she's just starting her company here in Colorado. And so I'll have to we're selling it at Aviano.
I just had it the other day.
Chai 5, yeah.
It's a little bit more. I had a chai at Aviano 2 days ago.
I'm not sure I'm not sure I'm not sure. We might be. I'll have to ask because it just hit the shelves. I just saw it. But there's bags. Different.
Yeah. I was like,
a little more mild, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
heavy ginger flavor.
Probably.
Yeah. Because I'm like a chai connoisseur. So I literally looked at Nick. I was like, this is different than last time.
You should. She is like so dynamic. I'll introduce you. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Because no, I just love chai. I drank my way through India full of chai. That's all I did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I love it because Indians cook like Puerto Ricans. They stew their meats. They eat rice and beans. Yeah. So that's kind of why I gravitated towards it.
Right.
And I love all things curry. I mean, just give me all the curry from everywhere in the world. I don't love Japanese curry, but other than that, I love all curry.
I don't eat that much Japanese curry just because, like, when I'm in a Japanese restaurant, I pretty much will do like ramen or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just something a little bit more Japanese. But
I love udon.
Udon.
That's a wheat.
No, that's wheat. Yeah.
Have you guys been to Kiki's on Colorado? I go to all these little hole in the walls. So,
but that's where we prefer to eat.
Yeah, like so Kiki's. Yeah, it's.
Wait, are you talking? Is it a taco place that does the ramen?
No, it's a Japanese.
Okay.
It's a Japanese couple.
Okay.
Every time I'm in there, I'm the only white guy in there. It's usually there's like 6 tables. It's like and the udon is like bomb.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Personally, when it comes to noodles, I tend to go more Chinese because I used to live in China. And where I was in China was in Xi'an, and it's the start of the Silk Road. So it had all this like Middle Eastern blend to all their Chinese food.
That's cool.
And it was really, really good. Like every meal.
So not authentic Chinese food.
I know, right? Not
okay.
authentic.
Yeah.
No. But every meal that I had there, I was like, is this the best meal I've ever had in my life?
I love that. That's what I feel about Mexico City these days.
Why do you think Mexico City is so much better at it? Like
what are they doing
so
right?
what they're doing right is they have programs where their kids can go out and they can work 6-month increments all over like Europe and Asia. And these kids go for up to like 10 years and they work in all the best kitchens in the world. And they started coming back and they just like, even like the young kids doing their like stuff that's, you know, when you see a young chef and he's like, oh, that's so good. But if you really look at it, typically they're incomplete concepts, but there's some really dope shit on the menu.
Okay.
So you have a little bit of that, which is fun because you go and you get, you know, we have a bunch of places like that in Denver.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they've matured and, you know, generationally, and they've gotten more cultured and they use different technique and they're applying outside technique to native foods. And they have an incredible, one of the things that really strikes me about Mexico City every time I'm there is, you know, when I'm walking down the street, I always see these like either a mural or some sort of thing that's temporary that's done that says you are welcome here. And it's got all the Latin American flags, like anybody from Latin America is welcome here, you know? And so they have all these like other outside influences and they have great abundance in Mexico. I mean, they have coastlines on every side and they've got, you know, the farming everywhere. And so the produce is incredible. And it's the accessibility, the barrier of entry to get into the restaurant industry because food is so core to who they are as people. Yeah. We don't really have a lineage for food in America. Right. I mean, like, whereas like in most other countries do, you know, for us, like, we rely on ethnic cuisine in order to, you know,
green bean casserole.
That's right.
That's about it.
Man, so good.
We love green bean casserole.
I do love a good green bean casserole. But you know, and I don't know. I mean, I'm so impressed with these young kids, and they're so intellectually curious, and they're so empathetic, and they're so like they have great soul, and you know. And I think it's very difficult in America to cook with soul because you just never saw it. You never felt it. You never, you know what I'm saying? Like mole, you know, mole is from Puebla. And the story behind mole is really interesting because it was started in a convent and because the male priest would not let the women eat chocolate. So they would hide the chocolate in a sauce. And like, it was like, that was kind of, it's so cool. Yeah. And these great stories and like, and they, you know, the corn in Mexico is incredible. And, and there's different influences. Like you think of, you know, al pastor or tacos, right? I mean, where do you think al pastor came from logically?
The church? Like pastor? Is it like
no. I can see why you're saying that. No, but just think about how it's made. Where do you see that style of meat?
The Middle East.
That's right. It's Lebanese. The Lebanese influence in Mexico. And so it's just like really, really, really cool stuff. And I just went to this place called Choza, which is like a young, hip, you know, tatted up chef. And he went and hung out in Thailand for a while and he fell in love with Thai chilies. And he does Mexican food with Thai chilies, Thai ingredients. And
sounds spicy.
It's so, but it's so
no,
good.
but so good.
So good. And you walk in and it's just like literally you're like in this urban, like, you know, you have to knock on the door like speakeasy style, and some guy like, you know, gives you a wait time. You just stand on the street for like a half hour.
Right.
And then you go in and they take you upstairs and they have this like listening bar, which is really cool. I think those are cool. I hope they come to Denver. And so great music, and you just get a bottle of natural wine, and they have like 3 or 4 things that they allow you to order down there. And then they take you up to your table on a terrace. And it's like everything you would ever imagine Asia to be. There's like clock stations, and there's like smoke everywhere, and it's indoor, outdoor. And it's like all these people crowded around these tables and whole fish. And
cool.
Like, it was just so cool.
An absolute dream.
And
I know.
100% illegal everywhere in America.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Like, you can't do that stuff, you know.
Building codes.
Oh man, we are our own worst enemy. You know. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the city of Denver came into Fox and the Hen, our breakfast joint. Speaking of eggs, and they dinged us because they watched our chef crack an egg, and not take his gloves off, crack the next egg. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why would you ever? You're telling me that every single egg we crack, we have to take the gloves off and put another pair of gloves on? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's 900 gloves on a slow day
Right.
You're asking me to use. Have you lost your fucking mind? Like, it is unbelievable how stupid some people are.
I mean, by that logic, you would have to rinse the knife if it, well, I guess like the produce is supposed to
It just
be
doesn't make
washed. It's just absurd.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting with food safety laws. I heard someone say, let's see if I can word this properly, but it's like, it helps people not get sick, but it can't guarantee people not getting sick. So it's like this weird thing, like people get sick, so they try to add in all these new ways to prevent some possible contamination. But it's like at the end of the day, it gets like lost in translation because it's like, well, love that rule, but it's not helping anyone really. It's just sort of
really the only way not to contaminate is robots.
Robots, yeah.
And we're starting that.
Yeah,
So,
I've been to a robot bar before.
Yeah, me too in Cambridge. Yeah, they have like chefs come in, do menus, and the robots flip burgers, and it's crazy. Careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I think we've gotten way too just clean and politically correct, which is with everything. You can't, I don't know, you can't prevent people from getting sick. And I don't think that like of course, I don't want my food cooked like in India where they don't have soap. A lot of places.
In places in India, yeah.
Yeah, in places in India. Like, of course, I don't want that, but at the same time, like, life is a gamble.
Okay,
Like-
so I have to use a rubber glove every egg I crack, but you can have a certain amount of rat poop in a box of cereal.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I didn't know you
Yes.
could do that.
Oh yeah, there's everything that's manufactured has a level of like rat poop or things like that are allowed because
That makes sense. I mean, that's crazy to hear out loud, but yeah, because I just know how rats are.
but no,
Right.
for like almost every like boxed manufactured product.
You know, I mean, these are the same people that are going home and eating each other's asses. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, come on. It's like, are you really worried about germs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not too worried about germs myself, but I'm glad there are some laws helping us out. But
me and all my friends talked about, so I studied abroad in Barcelona and I just feel like it was less cleanly in there, but in a good way. It's not like I would get off the subway and like wash my hands or things like that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I wasn't like, we're just kind of sterile here.
Yeah.
But we all talked about how we got sick so much less when we were there.
Well, because the food's that's the other thing. So you're worried about what's happening in a restaurant. How about worried about what's happening in a feedlot?
Yeah.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
It's what you're injecting into the pesticides you're spraying on your vegetables or the fucking way you're injecting into an animal or like that type of stuff. Because they don't do that shit in Europe. And the food, that's why I don't know. I know you said you're celiac, but like I know people who are gluten intolerant that can eat bread all day in Europe.
I believe it's the hybridization and the glyphosate use in America. I haven't tried it yet.
We should though.
But but I truly I represented at my PR agency this guy named Bob Quinn. He does one of the biggest like Khorasan ancient wheat grows in America. And he owns Kamut, if you know it. It's like a branded Khorasan wheat.
Okay.
And he spent all the money and did all these studies with his wheat that it lowered inflammation.
Yeah.
It boosted the vitamins and minerals
100%.
in the body. And pretty much all the wheat in America, it's going to inflame anyone, whether you're intolerant or not.
Well, not all of it.
A lot of it.
Yeah. We use ancient grains in our pita at Ashkara.
Is that why it's so fucking good?
It is.
We talk about the pita.
Well, you know why? Because it's real pita.
Okay,
like
yeah.
the other place in town uses pizza dough.
Yeah.
So it's definitely different. It's like a hack, and it's delicious, but it's not pita.
Right.
And and I have people that are gluten intolerant that eat the high gluten pizza at Bordeaux. They're
But
fine
it's
with
fermented, right?
Yeah, it's fermented dough, and also like we know. The seed that went into the person who put the seed in the ground to grow the wheat, I mean, do you guys know Kelly Whitaker?
No.
So he owns Wolf's Taylor and Hey Kiddo, and he's got his own wheat company. That guy,
We've been
by
to
the way,
Hey Kiddo and Wolf's Taylor.
I could not believe how good my meal was at Hey Kiddo the other day.
Yeah.
Oh my!
We went to the
God.
opening, so I haven't had a full meal there yet.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Just
Soba.
life changing.
Soba. Oh, hell yeah.
I love soba.
I don't think
Which,
I went-
by the way, we have soba on the menu at Kamoya now. It's our new duck set. It's like a soba with duck.
Yeah. Kumoya's banging, man. That
it
place
is.
is so fun.
Yeah. The fish is unbelievable.
But no, it is really interesting. Like in these other countries, like That's another thing I'll tell people when I worked as a yacht chef in Croatia for a while.
Okay.
But like it literally wasn't hard because I know how to cook, but I would just go to the markets in the morning and I would just get fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh olive oil. People would be like, oh my God, what'd you do to this? It'd be like olive oil, salt, and pepper.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, no, it's just because like Americans and Australians would come and they'd be like, this is crazy. And I'm like, you guys, I like did nothing to it. It's just the food here is so much better. Like it's just making it
just
easy
natural, right? Natural. And by the way, you know, the best restaurants in Denver have natural food. I mean, they source from those types of places, right? But they're not incentivized to do, which is the problem. Yeah. And so it costs a lot more. And it's a really, 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 you know, kind of vicious cycle that Americans are in right now because, we need, you want higher minimum wage? Great. We all want to pay people a lot of money. And nobody makes minimum wage, by the way, in our restaurant category. Everybody makes well above minimum wage. Yeah. But you're punishing the restaurants for their base wage, which makes no sense. But where do you find that margin? Buy cheaper food. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And, so it just really makes no sense. You're creating, other problems.
So are there any like trends that you see in restaurants that are happening in America that you just don't love the trend of?
I think that's an interesting question. I think people are trying a lot of different things. Man, that's an interesting question. I would say if there were, the really, really, really expensive cocktails kind of bother me a little bit, knowing what things cost and like this whole like ultra premium tequila category that clearly is not natural. That people are paying a lot of money for. And so I think there's like, I don't know if that's a restaurant trend or an industry trend maybe. Yeah. The sort of the celebrity brand thing and some of them are good. By the way. Sure. For sure. Some are good. But the Casamigos thing, it blows my mind.
We are the biggest haters on Casamigos.
Well, it sucks.
It's literally bad.
It sucks. It's terrible tequila.
And it's full of additives.
It's full of it. And it's like it blows my mind that
we're not getting them on the podcast.
We're never going to get them on the podcast, but like we've just brought up multiple times that we don't like.
Other things in restaurants that I think are problematic, I think there's probably just some behaviors by owners towards their employees that I don't like. I think that there's some deception that goes on, and I think that really hurts the rest of us. So I think you see quite a bit of that. There was just an article about credit card, like a fraud with like how you rang credit cards, and so people's credit cards were rang a couple bucks more than what the bill was. And it was showing, and they're just collecting money, and so stuff like that was really bothersome to me.
Well, that's a scam.
That's probably not really answering your question in terms of you're talking about like a food trend.
I don't know. I just feel like everything that's happening in the state of restaurants.
I don't know.
Or what do you love?
I'm down with people trying shit. What do I love? I love young kids getting in touch with their culture. A lot of immigrants come to America, and they're, for me, like my dad barely spoke English, and it was like, you got to speak English. You can't speak Spanish, right? Because, you're in America and whatever. And that happens. There's so much of that. And people like, when you don't have the language, and then my dad definitely, I had the culture, I ate the food. Traveled to Puerto Rico all the time, all that type of stuff, but most people can't afford to do that or don't do it. And like I've got kids that are like Puerto Rican that work for me that have like never even eaten Puerto Rican food or never been to Puerto Rico or don't even know half of the chefs that come out of Puerto Rico or the celebrities that come out of Puerto Rico, and it's like,
that's sad.
Yeah, it is. I remember sending one of them to Puerto Rico because she did a great job, and it like changed her life. So
wow,
yeah. So you can. So I love the fact that kids are like getting in touch a little bit with their history, their lineage, so to speak, and then I think that translates to plates. The way they look at food.
Well, we always say too that like I feel like
one I don't like while it's on my mind is I hate these fucking stupid tasting menu restaurants.
Oh,
I don't mind a tasting menu in a restaurant.
Yeah.
But I hate these like little 12. I don't mind an omakase, but like a 12-seat like tweezer, like it's like just cook.
I feel like it's a once a year thing. Our mom took us to Gramercy Tavern.
I love Gramercy Tavern.
Yeah. That was your first big fancy
That was
dinner,
my first like fancy dinner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that.
You were young. You were
by far my favorite Danny Meyer establishment.
Danny Meyer.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with him.
And,
he's the owner. He started 11 Madison, sold it to Daniel Hume. The Modern.
The Modern, yeah.
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. Oh,
shit! I should know that.
Yeah. Shake Shack and the Modern.
Yeah, he wrote the definitive book on hospitality called "Setting the Table."
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that's the only time when I'm like, when you're doing that, but all these other ones, I'm with you.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like.
Here's another thing that's bothering me, and I think it's changing. Now you got me thinking.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah. All these hotels and resorts and stuff that went out and got all these celebrity chefs to put their names on their restaurants, and the chefs go and for the opening, and then they never go back.
Yeah.
And the operations crumble and the food sucks. And it's like, oh, we have an Elaine Ducasse restaurant. Oh, we have a Jose Andre restaurant or a Wolfgang Puck restaurant.
Totally.
That's how I feel about Vegas.
Wait.
There's a lot of that in Vegas. I got to tell you something. Everybody's like, oh, the food in Vegas is so good. No, it isn't. Not on the Strip. In town, it is. It's real good.
Yeah.
It's
and
real good.
Our best restaurants. Mom always chooses one right off the Strip. But a lot of the celebrity ones, I feel like the celebrity showed up once and they were good a couple years ago. Maybe COVID just hurt them. We've been recently and I just wasn't impressed.
There's a few that I wasn't impressed with. What's that one Italian speakeasy off somewhere in Vegas?
Chapo.
El Chapo. Have you heard of it?
I haven't been there.
It's off the Strip. It's very it looks like you're going in with the mob, knock on the door, whole thing. But it's
It's called El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Isn't he like the drug lord?
Yeah, that's the nickname for the Colombian drug lord.
Yeah. Well then.
Man,
I'll put it in on the screen
Yeah,
if I figure it out. But it super low lighting. Has singers. You were in a 1920s speakeasy. Very dark. And they do food well. Even
it was dark though. It was hard to see or play.
They even hand make their gluten-free pasta.
The accordions.
Yeah, things like that. But it was it was cool.
Yeah, that was really good.
I love Esther's, which is an Italian spot. The guy makes incredible handmade pasta in the Arts District downtown for Italian. And
Esther's, I'll have to check it out.
Yep.
We went there and then we went recently Marrakesh.
It's
a belly dancing, Moroccan spot off the Strip.
I love Moroccan food.
I love Moroccan food too.
Yeah, I like eating with my hands.
Me too. They say in Nepal they don't use chopsticks like you're supposed to eat with your hands, and that was their whole thing is eat with your hands, it's better for you. That's what they say. And then they say you can, it tastes better. And that kind of makes sense because if you eat with your hands, we all love texture in food, but if you feel the food, that's another layer of texture that you're feeling the food with.
Yeah, that's true.
The sponginess of the rice, before
Ethiopian food with their, what's the name of the bread?
I forget, but it's the spongy bread. Yeah. I just know it as the spongy bread.
So good.
Yeah.
I love those women from Conjo, Ethiopian. Have you guys been there?
Oh. Is that the Ethiopian coffee spot?
No, they have a food truck, and then they have they're in the Edgewater Market. Yeah,
cool.
They're an incredible family.
Have you had Ethiopian food? I think because the spongy bread, it's the whole thing. It's curry and spongy bread.
I know. I got diagnosed 14 years ago, so anything with a bread scene.
Yeah, but Ethiopian food generally outside of that is perfect for you.
Is it? I only know the curry and spongy bread.
There's no gluten in anything.
Okay, that's kind of like Indian food, why we usually tend to eat it a lot.
Oh, what I was gonna say, connected to your heritage. I feel because we're from the Italian borough of St. Louis, that I feel we just know a lot about restaurants and like to eat out because we're Italian. And
because they were all the families that have been there forever and they kept it going. But I will say, people think it's so funny, how Italian we are, and they ask us if we speak Italian. I'm like, dude, not a word.
Yeah,
because they came over 50s.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to be Italian.
Right.
It was bad.
Right.
So, again, our parents' names are Trish and Matt.
Yeah.
And now, our generation, we can have
Italian they're coming back to the pride. Yeah, when it's accepted. And that's what I'm talking about the generation. Because how old are you guys?
I'm 29.
Okay.
I'm 34.
Okay. Ooh,
When I was
you're old.
18, I spent
34.
He was 11 when I went to college.
Oh.
So we have a brother in between us, but we didn't become friends until like recently.
Okay. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
I know. People think, twins.
Everyone
but,
thinks we're twins.
Not twins, no.
All right.
Very different upbringings.
I think
too.
I might have thought that at one point too.
Some people call us
Yeah.
the twins.
Yeah.
And
That's also why, like, Gabe and Quincy call us the twins
Yeah.
constantly. So
Yeah.
they know we're not, but that's so all around town. It's just a rumor that's been perpetuated.
Yeah.
But we act like it, so it's fine.
I know. Well, is there anything, I guess, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I love that you said connecting back to the heritage. I think that's so important just for everyone. Generally, as we like live in this like really crazy world of like immigrants and then also like colonialism and everything, it's like getting back to it.
I just don't understand. One of the issues I'm having with Colorado right now is you're starting to see generational wealth begin to be a priority, and everybody's the aspirational wealth is, I guess, maybe the better term to use. And the house in Aspen or whatever it is, and I just I like Aspen. You know what I like a lot more? Mexico City.
Yeah.
And because and I just Aspen's got nice mountains, but Mexico City's got better food, better bars, better clubs, better museums. But
the museums in Mexico City go so fucking hard.
I think they're better than Paris now.
I've never been to Paris, but
I think they're better
I have
than
a few
Paris.
times. I didn't do the museums. It's just fucked up of me.
What did you do in Paris?
I know. I've been to Paris like 3 times. I drank.
Are you looking for love?
Look, she did fall in love.
I did fall in love.
There you go. That's the American.
Yeah.
So when I was in Kenya last year.
Oh, sick.
No, actually, this was Zanzibar. This conversation happened. So on the beach, this is the same trip. And I was talking to these young women, and 2 of them were stationed in Mogadishu with the UN. One was from Indonesia, one was from Thailand, and they were meeting their friend because they all went to University of Michigan, and they were meeting their friend from Michigan in Zanzibar, and because you definitely wouldn't bring them to Mogadishu, but the girl said something profound to me, and because I was asking about young people and where are the places you want to go visit most in the world, and it's my question when I do that. I'm 50, right? And I'm so
I did not think that.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I know. I don't really act like it.
That's wild.
But so I'm what are the 5? And until about 5 years ago, it was always New York, San Francisco, L.A., Paris, Tokyo, shit like that, right? In the last 5 years, it's been I haven't heard, you barely ever hear America City. And so I asked these women, I said, well, why do you think that is? And she said to me, she goes, the new American dream is to leave America.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot. And I've traveled in backpacks a lot. Everyone's always trying to where should I go outside of America? But
well, no, that's the new thing is it's our ancestors all let's say left Italy for us to have a better life in America, and now it's almost my goal, honestly, and think of a lot of other people's goals would be to have a small house on the countryside of Italy. That's almost the
I mean,
goal
you could
now
probably buy an entire fucking town in some parts of Italy if you wanted to.
They give you money.
Yeah,
to
they'll give you. I'll give you a piece.
There's
of
a
land.
grant now, $33,000 to $55,000 in certain cities. You have to stay for 4 years. And you go there and you have to re-renovate the house, but they'll pay you to move there, which is kind of amazing.
I don't know if I'd want to live in Italy, honestly.
Why?
They seem a little homophobic and, a little Catholic for me.
They're Catholic.
And I am Catholic, but I just feel
it's really weird that Catholics are homophobic given the problem that priests have.
I know.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel the Catholics are way more open than the non-denominationals.
In America, but I think in...
Do you guys want to hear a funny story,
yeah.
which may or may not be appropriate for your podcast?
Oh, I don't... We've talked about horrible things.
So I have this friend, Melissa, who I met in Boston years ago. And she's kind of like a holistic, and she would send me these natural mushrooms that I would make the tea out of, and just to give you energy. And so she's wean off the coffee, try these, right? Whatever. And about 3 years ago, it was right before COVID. What was that, 4 years ago? She called me up and she said, hey, I'm in New Orleans and I got in trouble. She's like, would you be nice enough to buy me a dinner at your restaurant. And I said, sure, go in, right? And so she went in and she ate and she called me and she said, I had such a nice meal. I've had a terrible last couple of days. Thank you so much for being, it's the kindest thing somebody's done for me. I said, well, can I ask you what happened? And she said, yeah. She said, my friend and I got caught pegging a priest in the church and somebody called the cops on us and we got arrested. And I said, what?
All right.
She goes, yeah. She's like, I'm a dominatrix on the side and I have a lot of priest clients that want to get pegged. And so I was like,
oh, man.
Wow.
That's like,
by the way, this is national news. You can Google it.
really,
Yes.
really. Oh.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I feel like that would upset
they feel
Italy.
they feel like it's probably better than being homophobic because it's from a woman.
Well, I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
The
Like,
priest's thought.
being from
I don't know.
Boston, where there's a lot of Irish Catholics and Irish Italians, or Irish Italians,
Italian Catholics.
Italian Catholics, probably Irish Italians,
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Irish Puerto Rican. You know, there's all kinds of scandal because of the churches.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
what they do? They fucking. This is the reason why I am not Catholic. My mother was. You guys know my mother was a nun for 15 years, right?
No.
Yeah, she left the convent to marry my father.
I love that. How'd they meet?
Son of Nun was my nickname growing up.
Son of nuns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad was an activist coming up in the 60s to work with the Latin community. And it was just a big culture clash between sort of like the blue blood Brahmin society of New England,
Yeah.
you know, afternoon tea versus like this culture that was like living in 3-deckers and dancing salsa at 4 a.m. and
Right,
you know,
right.
loud. And
Damn.
yeah, so the Catholic Church, you know, Puerto Rico's Catholic, and they were like, so they studied the culture, and they, you know, they were trying to help, you know, and
Yeah.
anyways, my parents met in a jail, and yeah, so not that my dad was arrested, although he did get arrested several times, but anyways, wait, where was I going with this?
The Catholic Church.
Yeah, the Catholic Church, like they would be like the Archdiocese of Boston would just send these dudes to the Vatican so they would avoid prosecution. In
Oh.
so I mean, I don't know. These dudes are living just fine in Italy.
Yeah, I guess so.
So maybe you need to be a
Become
gay
priest?
pedophile
Yeah.
to be there.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's like, bro. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, that's crazy. We should go do some recon.
Yeah, there's all sorts of crazy things like that, but I could talk your ear off on just some of the stories I know about like priests in the Vatican doing. You can just send people to the Vatican and then it's like, oh, all sins absolved.
Immunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we just take the Vatican down and solve world hunger and build everybody a home?
The largest like conglomeration of wealth, the opposite of what Jesus was about, but like that's fine.
Well, that's funny. When I took my mother had never been to Paris, and you know I'm going to see her in 10 days. Her birthday's May 28th, and she'll be 87.
Happy birthday,
But
Mom.
for her 85th birthday, you know, every year I take her somewhere she's never been, and we grew up very poor, so we had one trip overseas, and it was to Ireland and Spain to trace our family roots back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I took her to Paris, and she was very excited to see the museums and stuff like that. And I took her to one of the cathedrals in Paris. And I said, Ma, this is incredible, don't you think? This is beautiful. And she just looks at it and she goes, Jesus never would have wanted this.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's just kind of sort of a joke. Like we've said this before on the podcast, like the Buddha was like, hey, don't build statues of me. And then like statues were built. And then the Vatican.
I think that's a good
Good stopping point.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
it's 420.
Yeah, is your Catholic guilt kicking in?
No, not at all.
Oh, no.
No, I'm more just like kind of I just think like a lot of the stuff we were talking about before with like what you do with your restaurants and things like that, it's not the norm and it's not the usual and it's not the most profitable, but it's like for people. Like we always talk about like a lot of the politics and the corporations, like he and I actually have pretty differing political views, but it's like a lot of all the bullshit, it's just not for people. The way our world is set up, our food system, it's like, let's just be more about for fucking humanity.
Yeah.
I think everybody can agree on that. Well, that's not true. Not everybody can agree on that, but maybe in this podcast today,
Yeah.
we can all agree on that.
We're not going to solve it here.
No.
But, one podcast at a time. We'll get some more good ideas out there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hanging out in
Sure.
the closet. Also, I have to comment on, are those linen joggers?
Yeah, it's Japanese streetwear.
Shut up. I'm like obsessed. I've been staring at them.
Oh,
Come
sick.
on, killing it.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah.
Japan's the only country that's ever made me feel like I should go shopping. Like now.
Yeah. I'm a pretty casual guy, generally
Yeah.
speaking. I mean, people tease me when they see me with closed toe shoes. I'm like a flip-flop, and I go to like board meetings and stuff like that. And people are like, what do you mean you're going to a board meeting? You're going to go home and change? And I'm like, nope. I go in just like this.
That's
CEO,
that's
motherfucker.
when you know you've won your life.
Yeah.
When
Well,
you
cool.
can.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This was
All
so
right,
fun.
guys.
Yeah,
cheers.
you guys, we're going to tag all of Juan's restaurants and everywhere you can go eat because you won't have a bad meal. And follow him on all the things.
Yep.
Anything you want to plug? Anything you have coming up?
Yeah, we have some really cool stuff coming up. Obviously, we have the 4 airport locations, which we're really excited about. Aviano and Terminal B opens in June.
Okay.
And then in August, Bardo, Mr. Oso, and Aviano in C, in the new wing of C.
Oh, yeah.
But even more exciting is Carlo La Magna, my Filipino buddy, is coming out from Portland, Oregon. He grew up between Detroit and Manila, and he's an incredible Filipino chef, and we're doing Magna Cucina. So we're doing cool Filipino food in Rhino, and he was
cool.
Food and Wine Magazine 2021 Chef of the Year. He's won...
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's a very accomplished chef, tons of Michelin stars, all the rest of that
I love
stuff.
that.
And we have a 12th floor cocktail bar that has a 45-foot operable glass wall that opens up to the city and the mountains, which is super cool. So like right behind the Catbird Hotel there, so that big building that's built there. So we'll go in there. Then we have Boulder, Mr. Oso and Aviano in the Moxie in Boulder.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm about to sign some deals in Houston and Nashville and Philly and New York and
Taking
That's
over the
crazy,
world.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
Cool,
Well,
congrats,
thank you for literally taking time to hang out in the closet.
yeah, for
so
sure.
It means so much to us.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having
All
me
right.
on.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. See you later.